9:02 विवेक और म्यूरल आपके साथ एंड दिस आवर एवरी मंडेज एंड फ्राइडेज हमारे साथ टैली सॉल्यूशंस से टैली कंप्लायंस माइस्ट्रो आते हैं. दिस इज टॉक कंप्लायंस ब्रॉट टू यू बाय टैली सॉल्यूशंस. जरूर लॉग ऑन कीजिए tallysolutions.com पे.
Absolutely, and joining us in our studios today is Nirav Shah, founder and managing director of Fame Advisory, DMCC. Now, Nirav is qualified as a chartered accountant from Gujarat, India. Being an excellent academia, he has secured 6th rank in Inter CA and 36th rank in CA finals. He moved to KPMG in Mumbai and had specialized in international tax and finance, and is advising on various cross-border transactions from international and domestic tax and regulatory perspective. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
वेलकम बैक टू द शो कहना चाहिए बिकॉज लास्ट टाइम जब आप आए थे काफी क्लैरिटी आप लाए थे इन कंप्लायंस. आज हम जानना चाहते हैं कि एफटीए ने कल कुछ रिवील किया है इन टर्म्स ऑफ कि कौन कौन इमारा टैक्स प्लेटफॉर्म पे रजिस्टर कर सकते हैं. उसके बारे में थोड़ी क्लैरिटी अगर आप दे सके.
So first of all, thank you very much for having me back. And yes, we started this show I think since January.
Right.
And I was on second or third episode when we started it.
Right.
So it's always good to be back.
Nice to have you back. Our
Good
pleasure.
morning to everyone who is listening. See, Emara Tax portal had already started registration for those who were applying.
Okay.
However, now they have made it public announcement so that everybody goes for the registration. But the registration had already started. And you can continue to register all the time up to your date of filing the return.
Right.
Okay.
So you have all the time available, but it's always good to get registered and get ready
Right.
for your compliances.
बिकॉज आपको रिटर्न्स तो आपके फाइल करने हैं 9 months आफ्टर द कैलेंडर आफ्टर द फाइनेंशियल ईयर.
That's right.
सो तभी भी अगर मैं रजिस्टर करूँ तो नो प्रॉब्लम.
No problem. There's no problem. You can do all the way up to then.
ओके.
But it's always good to get ready, get your tax number,
करेक्ट
and get aligned to what you want to
No.
start having.
सारे कैटेगरीज के लिए इट इज ओपन और देयर आर सम अपडेट्स कि सम कैटेगरीज कैन वेट टिल सम टाइम टिल मोर क्लैरिफिकेशंस कम अबाउट.
So what happened was that initially FDA invited specific larger groups
Correct, yes.
to start registration.
Correct.
So the portal was already active. Now they say to everybody who is private firm, they can go and register.
Okay.
For certain public benefit entity, they were in fact given the dates that you can register after so and so date. You can do this after such and such date. So that way they'll keep clarifying for different categories.
Right.
But in general, they say that everybody who needs to register can go and now register.
तो आर देयर एनी एडवांटेजेस ऑफ इट कि आपने अगर अभी रजिस्टर किया प्रोबेबली यू कैन टेक सम एडवांटेज अगर बैक होम अगर आप टैक्स भर रहे हो एज अ बिजनेस. विल देयर बी सम एडवांटेज अगर आप वो कॉर्पोरेट टैक्स नंबर ले लेते हो अभी के अभी?
Not really.
नॉट रियली. ओके.
Okay, because one, this is specific to the local UAE corporate tax.
Okay.
And for which the compliance, like you said, is 9 months after the filing of after the completion of the financial year. Right? All that it does is that now you're registered, you have a tax identification number,
Right.
which you otherwise don't have
Don't
today.
have, right, yeah.
So your lot of bank forms which needs filing, all that, like common reporting system and all, which needs your declaration,
Okay.
where you were always saying that I do not have a tax identification number.
Correct, yeah.
Now if you register, you can mention it there, and that's the only advantage that I can see.
Right. So two things that the FTA has mentioned is one, that free zone persons will not be included now. And another thing is that to form a corporate tax group, you're first required to individually get onto it and then form a group on the later stage. The reason why this is happening?
So the concept of tax grouping is there in the UAE corporate tax law, where entities which are parent subsidiary and which are owned 95% by the parent, they can group and file as one taxable person.
Okay.
However, before giving you the group status, FTA needs to verify that you are meeting those conditions.
Correct, yeah.
So they are saying that first you register individually, then if you want, you can apply for a group, which at their discretion they'll approve.
They'll approve.
Right.
Okay. जो आ जाता है because you've already done it for some
So
of your
if
clients.
if you have already complied with the conditions, you will get it. But so far, they have not given any group registration as yet.
Acha.
They only are giving individual registration.
Okay.
And applying for group, they'll take some more time to do that.
Right.
But for free zone, like they said, you can beat and let the clarity come on the qualifying income, not
Exactly.
qualifying income.
इसी के लिए रुके हैं सारे. But registration is something that all businesses have to do. You cannot run away from it.
So by when is when is this expected to clear out, especially where free zones is concerned?
Qualified and non-qualified.
So
Qualified and
if you ask me, it should have been clarified by now.
Yeah, it should have been. Right.
Because if we understand, the law is kicking in next 16 days. We are on 15th of May.
Oh.
We have 16 more
डरा
days,
दिया आपने.
which are tax-free days, you can say.
Correct.
You know, but then the FTA should have issued all the ministerial decisions, but obviously they have their own reasons for not doing so. But we are expecting that within this 15-16 days, of course, they should release all this and give clarity to everybody who is going to fall within that criteria or not.
And make it more simpler for especially small businesses as well, क्योंकि रिलीफ तो अनाउंस हुआ था तब उस पे भी सवाल बहुत उठ रहे सबके. स्मॉल बिजनेस रिलीफ, अगर आप क्विकली क्लैरिटी दे सके, स्मॉल बिजनेस रिलीफ क्या है?
So basically they are saying that all the small businesses which have turnover of less than 3 million will get an exempt status, so their income will not be taxed.
Okay.
However, like you said, compliance is not going away, so you need to still register and maybe file. Now this relief is also available only for first 3 years.
2026
Up
तक,
to
right?
26,
Right.
right? So you can, and it is to be chosen every year when you are below 3 million threshold.
Correct.
So if you in 2 years past you are below 3, but in this third year you are above 3, then you will not get that relief.
तो वो 0% होगा, और इज इट रिलीफ मतलब कि आपको बिल्कुल टैक्स नहीं भरना है?
आपको कोई टैक्स नहीं भरना है. So 0% rate you can say.
Right. So, and also if you're a company now, for example, in Singapore and has a branch in the UAE, correct? The branch revenue is 2.8 million. Now, can this branch claim for a business relief?
Not really, because the business relief only applies to local resident jurisdictional person. So if you are a foreign company having a permanent establishment, which is a branch, you will not be able to in fact claim that relief. It's only for the local businesses, local startups and small mom and pop grocery shops or small trading businesses, you know.
Right. So small business relief, ये free zone के लिए अलग होगा, ये mainland के लिए अलग होगा. Is that the case? Because mainland में अगर है, तो can a small business claim this 3.5 million?
So this relief is available to irrespective of where you are set up. Whether you are mainland, you are in free zone, wherever. In fact, if you are in free zone, you need to evaluate whether you want to go under this relief or you want to take overall qualifying income relief.
Right. वो choose कर सकते हैं.
हाँ, because this is only available for 3 years.
Correct.
Whereas that one is for you, with you till the time you are a free
your
zone
losses
person.
ahead, right?
Correct.
No, so if you are anyway in 0%, you
Right.
are not going to carry forward the losses, right? So carry forward of losses is very typical. If you are not getting 0%, then only you benefit.
Correct.
So even in small business relief, they have said that if you claim that benefit, you cannot carry forward your losses if you have any.
So my question to you is, how beneficial is this small business relief? I mean, should businesses be opting for these reliefs? How can they
or wait for the qualifying non? इस पे हम आंसर्स ये नीरव जी से हम जानेंगे, लेकिन आपके पास कोई भी सवाल है तो 0586861003 पे व्हाट्सएप या कॉल 808-1003.
Talk 100.3.
डे ब्रेक आप सुन रहे हैं एंड दिस आवर इज ब्रॉट टू यू बाय टैली सॉल्यूशंस. tallysolutions.com पे आप लॉग ऑन कर सकते हैं. एंड एमएसएमई ऑनर्स के बारे में अगर आपको और जानना है तो डू लॉग ऑन टू द वेबसाइट, जहां पे ऑनर किया जा रहा है. एमएसएमई ऑनर्स इस साल फेलिसिटेट करेंगे आउटस्टैंडिंग एंटरप्रेन्योर्स इन 4 कैटेगरीज. टू नो मोर अबाउट इट, tallysolutions.com नॉमिनेट कीजिए. लास्ट डे फॉर नॉमिनेशंस इज 20th May.
Absolutely, and we are right now in conversation with Nirav Shah, founder and managing director of Fame Advisory, DMCC. We're talking to him about everything about corporate tax that is just about to kick in the next 16 odd days, things that we need to know and how do we keep ourselves up to date and up to speed.
तो हमने बात की नीरव जी लिटिल बिट अबाउट द स्मॉल बिजनेस रिलीफ एंड व्हाट पॉइंट आपने जो मेंशन किया कि आपको क्वालिफाइड नॉन क्वालिफाइड वो वाला चूज करना है या स्मॉल बिजनेस रिलीफ. नाउ how to have that decision making skill regarding that now?
So it's actually, look, this option is only for the free zones, right? Mainland companies, anyway, if you are set up in mainland, you can easily choose whether you are below 3 million or not.
Correct. Yeah.
So that is very simple.
Okay.
So only when you are at a qualified free zone person, you really wait whether you will fall within that criteria or this one. Secondly, again, it's an incentive for small businesses. It's currently only for 3 years, but we don't know. At the end of 3 years, they may extend it for a few more years. Right? So you need to be careful, and this one you can choose each year. Whereas if you choose not to be qualified free zone person, that's more or like a irreversible decision.
Right.
So you need to be very careful if you are in free zone and if you are choosing this.
So this is quite a tricky one, right? So it's
Expert advice is recommended.
See, expert consultation, we always say that depending on your facts of the case, you should always consult with an expert to guide you properly.
Right.
But at the same time, these are few things which government has granted, which is much more beneficial than the normal.
Right.
So if you're falling within that, might as well you try and take that benefit.
And also as a small business, last time we did get some queries about that, maintaining an accounting system is quite difficult for them, which is approved by FTA. And this is where Tally Solutions play an important role as well. So, for example, if a small business owner doesn't really have a good in-depth knowledge up to how to have that compliance factor, you think Tally Solutions would be able to
it's
provide
in fact
the
very simple to use Tally,
Okay.
and with the POS and other solution, if they can integrate that, it's very easy to maintain your books. And moment the corporate tax return all format will be out, I am sure Tally will update its software to generate that directly from the software itself. So it will be very simple to comply, like VAT. Here in this country, the compliance is very simple, unlike others.
Right. But there are so many other things as well, कि जैसे आपके expenses आप 50% claim कर सकते हो, जैसे entertainment expenses, तो वो सारे categories के बारे में और knowledge as a small business, you think it is important for them to have, or?
Not really. See, they have made it very simple that all your employee related expense they are not going to disallow. It's only when you spend on customer, supplier and those kind of things or personal expenses is when it goes into that disallowances,
Right.
So they've tried to keep it simple so that everybody can understand and do the compliance. However, given that it is the tax law, you'll always have some gray areas. You can't address everything at one go.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
We should still give credit to the UAE and FTA that they've picked up the best from all over the world.
Okay.
And they've still tried to keep it simple, which is not possible.
आपके पास कोई भी सवाल आप हमें फोन कर सकते हैं 800-81003. दिस इज योर गोल्डन अपॉर्चुनिटी कि सी नीरव शाह हमारे साथ है एंड ही विल आंसर टिल योर सेटिस्फैक्शन. वो तो गारंटीड है. 0586861003, that's the number. जहाँ WhatsApp कर सकते हैं.
Absolutely, and we're talking about relief obviously right now, but with the people that you're coaching, with the businesses that you're coaching, anywhere that you're finding that yes, this is a recurring problem that most of the industries or most of the businesses are going through at the moment.
So generally, we never had compliances. With VAT coming in, we had to put our transactions in order.
Correct.
But now is the time to put your group structure, ownership pattern, your accounting systems in order.
Correct. Yeah.
Because tax is a consequence. What accounting system you maintain and what policies you follow is going to result into your taxable profit. So you need to currently look at what is your current group structure. People have set up licenses all over the place without giving any thought.
Right.
Is that because people can just go online and do their own licenses? Is that the problem?
It's not that problem. It was that today you never had to look at and think about all these compliances, and that's why you just went and set up as and when you wanted.
Right. Nirav ji, just hold on to that thought. We've got Srinivas with us on the line. Hi Srinivas, good morning.
Yes sir, good morning. We are in a semi-free zone.
Okay, you're in semi-free zone, okay.
Yeah, it's applicable for tax
Purposes,
this one or
okay.
not yet? TCOM, it's coming under TCOM.
Yes, so every free zone company needs to still register and comply.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Now, whether you are then eligible for 0% on your qualifying income or not is a separate subject which we'll discuss when the cabinet decision is released. But every free zone needs to comply and needs to file return. That is given. There's no choice with that part.
So, abhi
Okay, sir. Now one more thing, sir. We have four, 5 group companies. We can club all together one filing, or I have to individual. We have to maintain.
So first of all, the condition for grouping is that it has to be a parent and subsidiary relationship. That too, having 95% shareholding, voting rights and entitlement to profit. So only if you have it above that, then only you can look at grouping. And you need to carefully evaluate whether you want to group or not.
अच्छा वो भी option है. You don't have to.
You don't have to. It's not mandatory.
It's not mandatory.
Because every entity that you add into the group, that there is a tax cost of 34,500 dirham.
Nice.
So you need to see whether it makes sense for you or not, because you are going to lose the basic threshold of 375,000 every time. If you are in free zone again, you may not be able to group also, because this grouping is only for the domestic entities which are paying taxes.
Yes, understood. But in the VAT group, we are the same company. Maybe 4 or 5 companies are under the same VAT group, but we are clubbing and we are paying the VAT.
So
Instead of free zone and the normal company also, mainland companies.
Yes.
We can do like that, but in the taxation also it is a possible. My question is like that.
Yeah, but you need to understand that VAT is a transaction tax. It is very different. Corporate tax is on your profits. So both considerations are very different to see whether you want to do one for the other also or not. Because your objective of doing grouping under VAT is that you don't have to report the intercompany transactions and few other things. Whereas here there is a cost attached to it. So whether you want to do it and whether you qualify for that. Because VAT grouping is very easy. 50% and above you can group. Here the condition is 95% and above. And also free zone entities are not to be included in the tax grouping.
Okay.
ठीक है श्रीनिवास, थैंक यू सो मच यार. थैंक यू.
Thank you.
थैंक यू. या आपके डाउट्स 808-1003 पे फोन कीजिए.
Talk 100.3.
Welcome to Daybreak with Vivek Sanal and myself, Murali Sa. Still in conversation with Nirav Shah, founder and managing director of Fame Advisory DMCC. And right now we have someone on call.
We've got Amit with us. Amit, नीरव जी आपकी आवाज सुन रहे हैं. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Hi, Nirav. Good morning. I just had a small question just to understand. I actually own a mortgage broking firm. So I just wanted to know what is the minimum benchmark on my profit that I'll be, need to pay a corporate tax. If Nirav can help me just understanding it.
So first of all, Amit, we need to understand where your license is from. Is it a free zone or
it's a normal Dubai Economic Department license?
Yeah, so up to 375,000 dirham profits, you will be subject to 0% tax rate. Only above that is when you start paying 9% tax, but that too on your net profit. So it's after all your applicable deductions and everything.
Okay, basically all my administrative expenses, salaries,
That's
all
right.
deductions. On the net profit, I'll have to pay 9% annual corporate tax, right?
Above the profit of 375,000 dirhams.
25. When the net profit is above 375.
That's
sorry.
right. Yeah, that's right.
Correct. Okay. Thank you, Nirav.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Amit.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We've got Alan also with us on the line. Hi, Alan. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
Good. नीरव जी आपकी आवाज सुन रहे हैं. बताइए.
Yes, I have a question. I'm actually a architect, basically from the creative industry over here, and I'm looking to actually set up a business license for myself, ideally with DED. The problem is that it would need to be a license that allows me to do architectural design. Meanwhile, I also have a podcast which falls under maybe a media activity. So I want to know what would be the best way to encapsulate all of this in a license.
नीरव जी is like clueless. Bouncer question. I thought ऐसा कोई question आएगा ही नहीं.
Alan, thanks a lot for your query. But listen, these are two different activities. So you may not be able to club in one license. But DED can actually give you two licenses to be put on the same entity. But you need to go and check with the respective DED office whether they'll allow, because one is a professional service and other is a media service. So I'm not sure whether it will be a two separate license, but they should allow you to put it up in one company. But you need to go and check with them, and it's not directly related to tax. So sorry, I can't help you a bit more.
No problem. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you so much for your
Thank you.
questions. अगर आपके पास भी है सवाल तो WhatsApp कीजिए 0586861003.
Absolutely. And right now we were talking about also, companies that give in donations to universities. Now, can this go under a deductible pay as well for them?
So when it comes to donations, the very specific provision is that the recipient entity needs to be a qualifying public benefit entity,
Okay.
which needs to be listed in a cabinet decision. So cabinet decision is already issued. They have issued cabinet decision number 37 with list over 500 entities in there.
Okay.
So a lot of charities, a lot of athletic or sports organization, a lot of social and non-profit are all there on the list.
Okay.
So one needs to check whether that university where you are donating is actually on that list.
Right.
If it is, you get a deduction for the expense. If it is not, you don't get a deduction.
Okay. तो ये
Right.
बहुत अच्छा kind of a relief भी हो जाएगा for a lot of people who want to
Yes.
donate.
So that's
So
the
they
whole
can-
purpose of
Right.
notifying all of this. And this is much larger than under VAT. They had a charities organization which are listed.
Okay.
Right.
This list is much more exhaustive than that. And it includes a lot of sporting and social organization as well. So which kind of widens the horizon
Correct.
for one to donate for a good cause.
Right, because like NGO, it could be covering any field of life, right? It could be sports हो गया, it could be education हो गया, it could be any
Yeah.
life
so,
saving.
So that's where they are asking for everybody to get properly registered, either with Community Development Authority or respective ministry. And once you are, you get notified on this cabinet decision. Then any donation or any contribution made to such organization, you get a complete relief.
Complete relief तो बहुत अच्छा है
So
actually,
100%
है ना?
donation, whatever
100%
you give is deductible. Yes.
is a very good.
So what about Emirates Red Crescent now? Would they also need to register for corporate tax because they fall under the public?
So yes, they need to. So even though they are
Charity, no?
they are
Sure.
charity, they are qualifying public benefit
Right,
entity,
right.
but all of them need to still register. And they may need to be filing certain information that ministry asks from them, but they need to register. There is no exemption from registration except for government or government control entity. So these are very few which does not need registration, but otherwise everybody needs a registration.
Super.
Right, absolutely. We'll get back to this conversation, but just after this.
Talk 100.3.
डे ब्रेक आप सुन रहे हैं. म्यूरियल, गुड मॉर्निंग. बोलिए क्या बोलना चाहते हैं आप?
Good morning. बोलिए.
So this hour is brought to you by Tally Solutions, and Tally Solutions are bringing to you MSME Honors. 27th जून को International MSME Honor Day है, तो tallysolutions.com पे जरूर लॉग ऑन कीजिए. Now this hour, since we've been doing this since January, and interesting experts आते हैं, maestro आते हैं, अपनी एक्सपर्टीज शेयर करते हैं. आपके पास कोई भी सवाल, you can send us a WhatsApp 0586861003.
Absolutely. We are literally 16 days away from the corporate tax. You know, that's when it all begins. But right now, we are in touch, rather, we are in conversation with Nirav Shah, the founder and managing director of Fame Advisory, DMCC, and we are talking to him about all things compliance. You know, before we could go on a break, you were speaking about Emirates Red Crescent Authority and how they also need to register for the corporate tax. Could you talk to us a little bit more about such entities that require to register?
So let's go other way around. That everybody needs to register. Whether you are free zone, whether you are mainland, whether you are qualifying public benefit entity, whether you are small business. That's by default. Only people who are only entities which are exempt are government or government owned entities which are carrying on government functions.
So they don't have to register.
No, because they are outside the purview of the taxation, and few others. But all of the others, even though they are in exempt category, they still need to go and register.
Right.
And under what circumstances would companies need to provide an audit report?
Yeah, so audit, fortunately, last week we got a cabinet decision which clarified that only if your turnover is above 50 million dirhams is when you need to audit, or if you are a qualifying free zone person.
Okay.
So these are the two categories where if you are free zone, you are in availing the 0% tax rate, then you need to submit your audit return. And if you are a mainland or any other entity, if your turnover is above 50 million dirhams is when you need to do the audit.
So we got a question right now. Ki I work for a real estate company. My question is, we have properties registered in the owner's name. He is a local, and company name But while filing VAT, we don't file separately. We file in company name. VAT जब file करते हैं तो company name से properties owner के नाम पे है. So now on, should I separate this and file? Because if we club the profit, it increases more than 3 million. थोड़ा सा loophole ढूंढ रहे हैं.
So first of all, if your properties are in an individual name, that will be personal income. So you need to still wait whether that goes into the business category or not. Then only you will be taxed. So it's not good to combine the personal properties and report it as an corporate income.
But it's quite a norm, Nirav ji. Lot of investors who have realized that they should have their own company. Lot of properties are in their names. And then when a client comes, then is when the transaction happens. So the transaction will not go in the company name, it will go in the personal name?
So it depends on what you want to achieve at the end of the day, you know. So corporate vehicle is always good because it protects you from any future liabilities and other issues. People use that for other estate planning, succession planning, those kind of tools as well. So those has another benefit. Now from a tax point of view, you need to look at it whether owning it in individual name will make it more better or not. But if it is going to be a business, if rental is going to be defined as a business, then that will be taxed in either case.
Even though you are an individual holding the property and
or you are
getting
in a company name. So of course we don't know today whether government will include in the business category that they want to tax rental income as well. But there's all likelihood that it can come.
Good point. आपके सवाल 0586861003 will be back.
Talk 100.3.
Still in conversation with Nirav Shah, founder and managing director, Fame Advisory, DMCC. We're talking to him about compliance. Now, before we could go on this break, we were also talking about the audit report, right? So when you're generally talking about a company that has a turnover of over 50 million, now they are required to get a financial audit report. What about free zone companies? The threshold is about 25 million, is it?
So for the free zone company, in fact, there is no threshold.
Acha.
Even if you earn $1 technically, if you want to claim the free zone benefit, you need to get your accounts audited. As simple as that. For mainland, it is only mandatory if you cross 50 million in revenue. Because as you know, for mainland companies today, the audit is not mandatory to be done or filed. Only bank and bank limits if you, they insist on it, but otherwise it's not. So now under tax laws, this is now mandatory if you have turnover of above 50 million.
You know, we've been getting couple of questions और दोनों questions यही है कि क्या है deadline registration का. नरेश का भी सवाल और एक और मैसेज आया है उस पे भी यही सवाल. Please let me know the registration deadline.
So registration starts now. You can do all the way up to time of filing of your return, but earlier you do is better.
Right. उसके कुछ ऐसा peculiar advantages नहीं है, but it is better that you'll be in line with the system.
That's right.
Amazing.
Right. So when I'm registering my company, what are the things that I need to bear? So when I'm registering my company, what are the things that I need to bear in mind as an owner so that I pick up the right categories, I enroll for the right things, and I don't make that kind of mistake? Or even if I've made that mistake, can I go back and probably retrace my steps?
So there are two things. One, that when you go online on the MRR tax portal, there is steps which you need to follow.
Okay.
So which will kind of define you. Are you a mainland company? Are you a free zone company? Are you this? Are you that? And you will also have to submit your documents. And it's not that you submit everything and you get a number instantly.
Oh, approve hoga.
So they in fact go back and check your document and approve it. If you are not correct, they'll correct you.
Because it is new, it is making everyone's life easy. कि जैसे आपको compliance करने हैं उसी हिसाब से आप कर रहे हो. So brilliant. TallySolutions.com really help you with this as well. Log on कीजिए. MSME honors है जहाँ पे आप nominate कर सकते हैं. 4 categories है. So do have a look at it as well. TallySolutions.com. Now let's move on to our next question. जहाँ पे एक company अगर follow कर रही financial year from April to March and wants to adopt the tax period starting from Jan to December. So कहाँ पे apply करना होगा change in the tax period और अगर कर भी सकते या नहीं?
So first of all, yes, you are as a corporate free to change your period. However, there are few conditions attached, that there has to be a commercial rationale or justification why you want to change. Number one.
Because कभी था ही नहीं, फाइनेंशियल ईयर था ही नहीं
अभी
हमारा।
था नहीं, पर आप फॉलो तो कर रहे थे ना, अप्रैल टू मार्च तो फॉलो कर ही रहे थे ना, तो यू हैड सम थॉट प्रोसेस अराउंड इट. नाउ यू वांट टू चेंज इट. सो आफ्टर 6 months of your financial year, so April your financial year begins, then after September you can go and apply for a change in the period and define the new period, but again it's subject to their approval, but you have to have proper commercial rationales. You cannot just do it at whims and fancies.
Because अगर आप Jan to December अगर करते हो, then you get till September. अगर आप June to या April to May करते हो, it's the same.
Yeah,
It's the
look, it's
There's
just,
no advantage. Okay.
it just gives you few months of free period here and there, but now you cannot change anywhere, right?
Also got a question. If we have profit, we have to submit. If losses, can we revert the submitted tax? Yani ki returns is what I think is talking about.
So no, the very beneficial provision under corporate tax laws is that if you incur losses, you're allowed to carry it forward to the next year.
Full nahi na?
Full amount of losses.
Full, okay.
And that too indefinite period number of years.
Okay.
So then in the say for example you made a loss of 500,000 in this year.
Okay.
You can carry it forward, and if you make a profit of $1 million next year, you can set off this 500,000 and only pay tax on the balance.
Okay.
So there are certain restriction on in the year when you claim the set off how much you can claim, but you can carry forward your losses indefinitely. So you don't need to worry about your losses. You can carry forward, but only after its first tax year has kicked in. So if you are already incurring losses now, you can't carry it forward.
But also there has to be a sync in terms of आपके books of accounts में, for example, profit है, but actually आपके बैंक में उतना नहीं दिख रहा है. Will that sync be also be questioned?
And not really. So cash flow does not determine your profitability, right?
जो books में है वो
जो
है.
books में है, so that's why it's more important to follow correct accounting policies and have something like Tally in your system to help you do that.
Right. Also got a question from Naresh. My company is in Davza. उसके बाद आगे का question आ रहा है शायद.
Alright, so a non-resident person now is earning income from providing consultancy services in the UAE and does not have an office in the UAE now. Will he be required to register for corporate tax and file returns?
So non-resident, if they are earning income from UAE, it is regarded as UAE sourced income. If they do not have an office, that means they do not have any physical license or place of establishment here, then currently withholding tax rate is 0. So that means they don't need to register, they don't need to file the return, and there is no withholding on the income that they earn from here.
So नरेश का question ये है कि उनकी company के accounts maintained है in Belgium. Now account booking needs to be maintained here. Does an accounting system need to be maintained here as well? क्योंकि main head office वहाँ पे है. यहाँ का सारा accounting is being handled there in Belgium.
So as long as the Belgian team can produce a books of accounts for the UAE operation, in which they can get it audited because they are in free zone, that's sufficient compliance. You don't need to have physically the software here or people feeding in the data here.
Okay.
So you can use outsourced services from anywhere, whether Belgium or India or whatever. That's not a problem. But you need to have accounts maintained and audited because it's a free zone entity and submitted for the corporate tax purposes.
ठीक है नरेश, आई होप आपके सवाल का जवाब मिल गया है. आपके सवाल अगर है तो we've got 7 more minutes to go. 0586861003.
Talk 100.3.
Welcome to Daybreak with Vivek Sanal and myself, Mira Disa. Still in conversation with Nirav Shah, founder and managing director of Fame Advisory DMCC. We are talking about tax compliance and corporate tax that is about to begin in June. We're 16 days away from that, so we're trying to keep you abreast with everything. Neeraj, before, there is obviously we have a couple of more questions, but things that corporates or employers need to bear in mind before they start registering themselves for the corporate tax. How can they prepare themselves? I know we're 16 days away, but something better than nothing.
So look, frankly, for registration, you don't need to be so worried because that's anyway required by default, and that's only generating a tax number for you.
Okay.
Number one. What you need to really worry about is your accounting systems, processes, your group structure, and what is going to come as a tax cost for you.
Correct.
Because see, understand in VAT, for a business, it's not a cost. Because you collect from your customer, you pay to the
और
government.
सिर्फ रिपोर्टिंग कर रहे हो.
You are only reporting. Whereas corporate tax is a cost for you. Nobody else is going to bear this for you.
खुद को करना है. Right.
This is going out of your pocket. So you need to prepare yourself to make sure that you optimize it. And you make sure you report correct numbers and you are doing the right compliances.
Very important.
Right.
And इसीलिए Tally Solutions, help you there as well, क्योंकि FTA compliant है, तो that way you cannot go wrong जब भी आप returns file करें. So log on कीजिए tallysolutions.com. Also got a question. Nirav ji, will AI take over the accounting and auditing industry?
Of course it will. So AI can help accounting and auditing in doing all the repetitive tasks and all the scenarios that you can forecast. But as we have seen with every account that we audit or every return that you file, there will always be a scenario which you can't predict. Right? So where human intervention will be required. So even when you have almost repetitive business, there will be few entries and few adjustments that you need for your finalization, for your provisioning, for everything which is related where you need human judgment of estimate or anything. So all that cannot be forecasted and kind of made AI done.
Absolutely.
So
and
you need somebody to do that.
Written subject का जो oral explanation देते हैं Nirav ji, the way he gives so much clarity is phenomenal, and we thank you कि हर बार जब आप आते हैं इतनी क्लैरिटी, इतना नॉलेज आप शेयर करते हैं. सो रियली थैंक यू सो मच एंड वी लुक फॉरवर्ड कि अगली बार फिर से आपसे मुलाकात.
नहीं, थैंक्स अ लॉट फॉर हैविंग अस.
More than welcome, but sir, before you leave, there's one last question and that we have. It says
क्वेश्चन खत्म ही नहीं हो रहे
नहीं,
आपके.
एक last
आप परेशान बन गए जुदाई के.
So a company now has a turnover of 150 million dirhams, correct? Is it required to maintain local and master files under the transfer pricing documentation?
So transfer pricing is basically introduced in corporate law to ensure that the related party transactions are done at an arm's length. Okay, now we have, because there is no individual or personal taxation, there is also transfer pricing on domestic transaction. Plus we are giving benefit to free zone entities. So any transaction done with free zone also comes under that threshold. Now fortunately the government has reduced the compliance burden under that, and they have specified that the detailed local file and master file, which is internationally known documents for transfer pricing, are required only if you have turnover of 200 million and above. Therefore, while you still need to comply and justify your arm's length of your transaction, but you don't need to go into detail and keep that in-depth documentation of what method you use, how did you justify, why you did not use other method, what have you benchmark with, is your benchmark correct, all that details you need not maintain for those things. But when you do arm's length pricing and when you have to say yes, this was done at arm's length, you need some documents to justify. It may not be in as detailed format as a local or master file, but you need something. So they've tried to reduce the compliance burden overall, because transfer pricing is a very subjective concept. For every 2 transactions you may not have a comparable, right? So that's why they thought about it and they've introduced the threshold which is quite high, which is good and beneficial for the local corporates, that you only do this detailed documentation when your turnover about 200 million.
सुपर. और हम बात करना चाहते हैं लेकिन समय जो है हमें कह रहा है कि इट इज टाइम टू से गुड बाय. नीरव जी, थैंक यू सो मच, ऑलवेज अ प्लेजर.
No, thank you. Thanks a lot to all of you and having us here. It was actually an entertaining 1 hour. And hopefully we've addressed all the questions that was raised to us. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
थैंक यू. अगर और सवाल है तो सीए नीरव शाह को आप लिंक्डइन पे ढूंढ सकते हैं और वहाँ पे आपको मिल जाएंगे.